So welcome back everyone to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. Now for today on the show, I mean, what can I say? We have the incredible, amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only Alessandro. Alessandro, how are you today, man?
Good. How are you, man?
Really fantastic. And what better way to have an incredible super evening than to be chatting with someone as badass as you know what I mean?
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate you, bro. Thank you for having me. I
Yeah, of
feel
course.
honored.
There you go. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, helps a lot. But also, on the description below, you're going to find all of Alessandro's social media. Let's follow him, and let's discover why he is super badass, right? Now, without further more, let's jump in. So I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, what initially drew you to acting in the first place? Was there a specific moment or performance that solidified your passion for it?
Well, I would definitely say that, my with my family when I was younger, we religiously watched films and TV shows together. We spent like multiple hours a day watching stuff, and then I feel like this is how me and my family connected most of the time. And then, my brother and I, we were obsessed with reenacting most of the things that we watched. And then I would definitely say that the two films that stuck with us the most, that we would probably rewatch the most, was Gladiator and Blow. They were two great films. Some of my favorite actors as well: Russell Crowe, Johnny Depp, Penelope Cruz. The one scene with Gladiator, it's really simple actually. Like, it wasn't like, oh, and also like Joaquin Phoenix, like he did it, he killed it in Gladiator. But there was this one scene with where Russell Crowe he's like walking in the fields and he's just touching the fields with his hands. That stuck with me forever. I was just like, it's such a simple thing but so beautiful. And I think the thing that drew me to it is just, it made me feel so much in that moment. You know what I mean? And it's so beautiful. And I think being able to take our minds on this like amazing adventure and making it so real and it's the good acting that really got me, and that like really connected me to this, like, if I was able to do something like that makes people feel so much and takes them on this adventure, like, yeah, I want to do it,
I like it. All right, that's a good start. So basically, that was like the whole thing. How the journey started.
My journey, no. So like, because I grew up in a more traditional home, so like, art was a thing, but it was a thing that we were allowed to enjoy, but not to
Do. Yeah.
So, growing up, I feel, because my brother and I, we had this like legit fantasy world that we would act out for like 4 hours a day. We would create an entire universe and we would continue that story over weeks, and we would completely lose ourselves. And I think that's like where that's essentially what acting is, but it's I think we always had this fantasy of being actors, but we never allowed ourselves. And then when I graduated from high school, I actually did ask my parents, like, oh yeah, so I was thinking about maybe, going to acting school or directing school. And they were like, no. So I studied finance and economics, and then, at startups. And then I went, joined a bank, became a trader, foreign exchange trader for multiple years, until I hit a wall and I decided that I couldn't do it anymore. This was something that, it just wasn't me. And I think if you're forced to do something for years that is not you, it will kill you inside. And I started feeling numb, like literally nothing. It scared me. And I was sitting on a bus, man, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? And then I made the bank fire me. I say I quit, but I, wanted to
Yeah.
benefit. So I left, and for 8 months, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I moved to Canada, and I saw that Vancouver was like North Hollywood. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then COVID hit. So everything, all the industries shut except the food delivery services or the film industry, actually. The
Mm.
film industry was still running with under COVID regulations. And I was like, wow, maybe this is God trying to tell me something, So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for me to test it, but I looked at the statistics. The statistics aren't really good. You know, it's 2% of people are working actors, 0.2% are actually like A-list, B-list, C-list, right? And I was like, yeah, no, the odds suck. And I didn't want to be one of those guys that thinks like, oh, I'm special or something. So I kind of wanted to test the waters. The background was on this amazing set. It was like, wow, the thing that I felt was amazing. I saw how complicated it actually is because I think for anybody who has never seen a set before, it's there's hundreds of people making one little thing work. And how much time is spent on like a 2-minute scene is incredible. And
Hmm.
how many times that 2-minute scene, for example, the maybe the first bit, which is like 30 seconds, you retake it so many times just to get all the different angles, or maybe there was some problem with the background or with the acting and so on, or technical problems. So you redo the scene a lot of times. Um, but yeah, it was magic to me. And then yeah, I applied to acting school, got in, and then I actually shortly after booked my first gig for this National Geographic show, which was like a historical reenactment of real people during the Second World War. Um, and I think once I did that show, and because it was a cool set, it was a really cool set. Ian, the director, super passionate. He loves Band of Brothers, is one of his favorite shows.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
And then after I wrapped that, the feeling I got after being on that set for 2, 3 months, it was incredible. Like nothing in my life has made me feel that way. Like no, no, it was almost this like feeling really complete and fulfilled, knowing that I found something that I truly love. And I think that's what pushed me into this, like, no, this is definitely what I want. But yeah, it was definitely an experience.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I think it happens to, yeah, basically to everyone, whoever, and even to this day, whenever you want to say that you want to, you want to have a career in the arts, acting, music, like all of that. And when you put it in perspective, I mean, at the end, yeah, of course that the odds might, yeah, like the odds might be like a little bit difficult, of course, for you to make it into the whole, artistic world. But at the end of the day, I always say that if there's something about it that calls you, give it a shot. Of course that don't don't try to take this leap of faith, and throw everything away so you can focus only on that. I mean, that is, that's a little bit
Mhm.
crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you can, but if you want to work on something that you are, yeah, that you're passionate about and you are curious about it, go ahead and do it. You never know. And plus, if you get rejected, or if somehow along the way you have a constant no and no no's over and over and over, that's just life. I do think also that when you think about it, it's like a job interview, like auditioning. Basically it's like a job
Yeah.
interview. If you get it,
Oh,
cool. But if you don't, you need to search for the next one and the next one and so on. So
yeah.
why not trying, something that you actually are curious about it, and not and get outside out of this typical box, getting a job, 9 to 5, stay there for 30, 40, 50 years. Then one day you're gonna one day they're gonna fire you because you're old, you're gonna retire, and then what? You know what I mean? Then you're gonna die, and then eventually no one will ever, yeah, like there's something about that when I think about it, it's like you wasted your life somehow. You know what I mean? I do believe that we come to this world for
That's
something, to express
exactly
something, to do something. And when you get
that's
stuck
exactly how
into
I
this,
want to feel, right? That's
yeah,
why I left the banking job.
yeah,
It's risk. Yeah, you know what it is? It's like, as you said, if it's your passion and you have this like desire, go for it, right? But I feel like because to me, honestly, acting is so another great movie is The Last Samurai.
mm-hmm,
It's another one of my OG favorite ones. It's like I feel like the actor's life is sort of being a samurai because you have to dedicate your life, your entire life becomes the art form because it's not only like, oh, I train a little bit here and there and then I go for auditions. It's man, your body's your instrument, you know? So your body's always got to be in tune. So it's like an NBA player, just because he's amazing, he's not going to stop training to stay amazing. You know, you
Hmm.
still got to train every day. You still got to keep your body clean and work your vocals and your you know your emotional well and you got to be on point. You got to be sharp, right? Like well-tuned instrument. And for that, it takes effort, you know? And that's why I think that people when they do it for the wrong reasons, I think when some people just want to be famous or some people just want to do it for the money, it's really it's gonna be a ride. Like you might be one of the lucky ones that wow, the first thing you book, you might, do it, make it. But like if you're just like the other 99.8%, it's really it's a grind. And the only way of in my opinion, surviving this grind is if you truly love it. You gotta truly love it. Because even the auditions, they kind of become like, oh, I got an audition. Oh, this is gonna be fun exploring this. Like, let's see what like unique thing I can come up with, right? Like,
Hmm.
what is this? It's almost like an extra exercise. Like, oh, this is nice. Like I get an extra exercise to practice more,
Hmm.
right? And seeing it as that, right? And yeah, I think that changed a lot for me too. Like not seeing it as failure anymore if you don't get booked, but just seeing it as this like I present my art, my creation essentially of what I want this character to be.
Hmm.
They like it, they book it, right? So it's yeah, I think that's what's really helps with like mental stability in the game because a lot of actors they suffer from like because a lot of rejection, man. Like you got let's face it, like it's an industry where you get rejected a lot and it gets tough, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And tell me, as an actor, you often have to, inhabit the lives of various characters. So how do you approach stepping into a new role, and what techniques do you use to make the character feel authentic?
Um, I think I use different techniques for different characters. Sometimes I read a script and it's like, I know who this guy is. Like I just already know it. And then it's kind of easy for me to fall into this character. Um, it's just sometimes, when it's something really close to yourself, it's easier. But when it's something else, then how do you find it? I use different techniques. Some are where I really do the research. I'm like, where does this guy come from? Like, what were his traumas? Because to me, it's all about that. Like, what crippled you when you were a kid? Like,
Yeah.
um, because that to me, I'm actually doing a workshop right now, which is super interesting, where it's the opposite. It's like we go from our body. So we start with the body, how it feels in the body, and then it goes into your mind.
Mhm.
So that's how you feel. But so originally I look at the traumas and I see like, okay, so if this character, went through a lot of abuse and let's say he was bullied a lot, he didn't have a lot of friends, how would that influence his body posture, right? Because he didn't have a lot of friends, so he's a little bit more closed off, right? He's probably not, he doesn't hold his head high, right? He's a little bit more like this. He's not going to talk very so I kind of like, I do the investigation and I do whatever serves the story. Like I wouldn't just do things just to be interesting. No, I will try to just go by the how much information they're gonna give me, and try to stay true to the story, but really create something, right?
Mhm.
And once I do my investigation, I really try to connect it to myself. Because we all have parts within ourselves that whatever character it is, it might even be a serial killer. There's certain aspects of the serial killer that are similar to you. You connect with that first, and then what things about me do I have to shut off, uh, and emphasize in order to be more like that. And then, I really like to spend hours a day in the body of the character, really figuring it out, like doing my daily stuff that I do, let's say like laundry or cooking or whatever, like spend it in the posture of the character. How does he talk? Like, how did, like doing that work um really helps me discover and really dropping into the final product, let's call it. Um, but yeah, it's like constantly thinking about like whatever, if I book something, it's like whenever whatever I do during the day, it's always on my mind. Like, how would the character do this right now? Or, but yeah, I always try to connect it to myself. But for me, it's very important to really understand the traumas and and then once you find it, just living in the subtleness of it, like not expending anything. No, you just the character, right? That's it. And it's actually like it's crazy because when you let go, you feel like you're not doing a lot, but actually the character's there. Um, but yeah, and then once I really see who it is, and let's say I go out of character, and then the next day I'm on set and I need to perform, it's finding that physical behavior of the character that I created over this time period that helps me drop in, like really feeling like reminding myself like this is what it feels like, and this is and yeah.
Okay. And many actors, have rituals or routines to get into character. So what's yours? Do you have like any pre-show ritual or yeah, like what is your thing here to help you to get into the right mindset?
Um, every day I feel so different that I wouldn't specifically say I have one ritual. I'd say on bigger things, I definitely do one thing always, which is meditate.
Okay.
I love meditation. I love to really like just focus. Um, I really try to see it almost like this, like I'm going to compete, like I'm going into a ring to fight, like focus,
Mm.
right? This is like the same mentality. There's nerves, there's everything, but focus. And then I do this like sensory work, which is it's just like sort of like meditation, body movement to just like get my body revving a little bit with emotions. Um, you call it the altered state actually, where you get all your emotions going and then you're just like ready, like your engine is just fired up. But yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Okay. I mean, it's a whole other process, right? That just learning your lines, as some people might think, and I find that great. The fact that, I mean, at the end, you wanted to make it as relatable as possible, and at the same time, you want to stay focused as possible. So then everything that you have been working on kind of connects to it. And at the end, if the audience can get, yeah, if you get like this connection to it, I think that's when yeah, basically when you got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just learning the lines is never going to help you. Like, dude, it's why are we saying what we're saying? You know,
Yeah.
we say one thing, but we really like feel one thing, right? It's always important to understand what's like the subtext, what we really want. And I think once you understand that, the lines are kind of like, yeah, that some productions are very specific about the lines, but the most important thing is what you really like, what's going on underneath all of this.
Mm.
What is going on underneath all of this, and what am I trying to show to this other person? Because we don't always want the other person to see what we really feel. But we still need to feel it. And this really helps me because like on some sets, like the you show up, you learn everything, and then your scene partner, who's you know usually the lead or something, they don't follow the script, they don't necessarily say what's on the page or follow like any of the actions. Like the experiences that I had so far, it was like I showed up and like it was just all over the place, you know? And that's why you have to be ready with understanding like what really is the dynamic of the relationship and like what is really like going on with you, because then whatever they give you, you're ready. Like disregard the lines, like you know how you can jazz. To me, it's jazz, honestly. It's like it's jazzing, right? Like playing jazz with the other actors. you're both like just like finding that flow, like finding that, the music.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's just an incredible. Yeah, it's just amazing. You know, like whenever you get the chance to discover how much an actor went through to kind of like their whole research and the whole thing to present this character to the audience. So yeah, just great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it helps with anxiety too, man. You
yeah,
know? Because there is performance anxiety. And
totally.
like to me, it's like the more I'm prepared, the less I'm anxious, or like it just translates. Like the more work you do, it will always translate. And yeah, I think that's definitely a big part. And it just helps with being professional.
Mm.
Because dude, there was this one time I was on set and I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but like I was playing like a doctor, and like they I was like, okay, I have these specific lines. I know they don't want me to know everything, but I was like, I have to be ready just in case. So I started researching everything about the operation procedure and like what are really the details, what are all the Latin words they use, the jargon. And then I show up on set and they're like, "Oh, did you receive the amendum?" And I'm like, "What amendum?" And then I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Oh yeah, there are like 8 other lines that you're supposed to like know." And I'm like, "No." And then there was there's like a consultant on set that they hired to keep everything real, and
Yeah.
they're like the professionals. So she gave me like a lot of complicated words to remember that were technical, and I was just like, well, and I didn't panic. Well, in the first moment, yeah, but I didn't panic because of the preparation that I did, because I knew that I can handle this. Like I knew what I was doing. I knew that what the procedure was, and it helps with these situations because honestly, like they change a lot around on the day.
Yeah. That's that's cool. I
Yeah,
like
it is.
it. Yeah, I mean, I bet that at the beginning was kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt, but that's awesome.
But that's what it is anyway. Yeah, it's just it takes courage to go out and let go and be in the moment and go without a parent. Just whatever happens, and you just in
Totally.
it. Nothing else matters.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
And, acting can be emotionally demanding. So how do you maintain a balance between fully immersing yourself and taking care of your mental and emotional? I mean, and taking care of your mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah, I think that's a huge one um in the acting world. I think genetically, you know, I'm able to deal with a lot of pain really well. Um, but we as actors, I think because of all the adrenaline and all these feelings, we build up a lot of cortisol as a
Mm,
byproduct. And a lot of I feel like if I spend time in a character for multiple days that has heavy scenes, then it will get to me, of course. And the way to kind of like get out of it is really treat myself really well. Like just the way where, because all it is essentially is like when I'm a character, I'm replacing my natural thoughts with a character's thoughts.
mm,
And then if this character is more depressed and very negative, then all of a sudden I'm having these thoughts. And we are creating these neural pathways in our brain. But I'm really I work out a lot. I go usually after a long day of shoot, I go jogging or cycling to build off the cortisol and
mm.
to release dopamine. I watch something funny, I cuddle my cat, which honestly helps. I eat something that I really enjoy. I talk to my family. I try to reconnect to myself because I'm a little bit, honestly, a little bit method. It's not like I'm a 24/7 hour a day method actor, but I do like when I'm on set, it's not like in between the takes. I'm not in the character, but there
Yeah.
is a part of me that I keep in character. But I am aware, and I am, I talk normally with the director and everybody else, but I like to keep part of me in character just because I like to be ready. When the cameras go on, I like to, really, really feel it, really like connect it to me. Like I really like to go through the waves because if the other actor goes offbeat or does something crazy or just starts doing something, I react naturally, right? There's no logic to it. No, I react, and this is the character, so I really like it. I personally really enjoy it. Some days it's harder, so I use other techniques like substitution replacement, where you substitute it with my own traumas or with something that I pick. But yeah, so it's important to, I think, really treat yourself well and then talk to yourself internally well. And meditation is definitely also a good one to come up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end, it's important for you to be, yeah, for you to actually take care of your body. I mean, at the end, at the end, it's the whole instrument to it, right? And if you don't keep it 100% or as healthy as possible, you're not gonna be able to perform well, and that's gonna affect you somehow. And also, at the end, I do think that whenever, I mean, even if you're passionate about something so much, you still need you still need days to kind of cool off, to kind of relax, do something else, distract your mind to it so you can come back kind of with new ideas or with the same excitement as you were
Mhm.
back when you were, starting out. Otherwise, if you just go into this whole beast mode and go all in, non-stopping, at some point you're gonna hate it, because your body will be begging you for you to take a break.
Yeah, yeah. I think you said something important. It's like healthy diet, I think is super important too. Just to feed the engine with healthy things it needs to deal with all the stress,
Mm,
uh, physical activity. But yeah, I mean, look, if I wasn't fortunate enough to book the lead or supporting lead of a show where it requires me to be on set every day for 6 months.
yeah.
So I can imagine that that must be insane because you're in it for 6 months doing it most 5 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day. And especially if you're the lead, it's like it's 80% of the time you. So it must be insane. Yeah. So I don't feel as the lead, you don't have the luxury to like take a 3 day break when you want
Mm,
because you have to perform, right? But yeah, that's I think where the weekends come in. But even then on the weekends, theoretically, you'll be learning and studying the stuff for the upcoming days. But it's yeah, it's it's just a moment. Yeah, it's a matter of being professional and like really knowing your body so well and having these techniques to like come out and treat yourself well. But yeah,
totally.
I know, for example, for like Riverdale. I know that some of my friends that were on it had big roles that they got mental health days off because they were filming, and then the production realized that the cast wasn't doing well emotionally. So they allowed them some days off in between where they got to like have these breaks. Um, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, like some days, like even personally, where I'm like struggling personally, if I get to work, it for some reason changes into the opposite. Like I feel like good again. It's funny how it works. Oh,
Totally. Totally. And tell me, if you could play any historical figure, fictional character, or you know what, let's go crazy, even an animal. Why not? Who or what would it be and why?
historical figure. Yeah. I think if I had to play one, like the one I'd be most attracted to would be like anyone from the Roman times. Because those are like honestly, like looking back, those are the times when if I had a time machine, I would love to see how they lived. I would love to see like how was it back then, and also like the clothing, it looks cool. Maybe a big part of it is the gladiator because I was such a huge fan of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's something about it, like the Roman life, the colors they would wear, the lightness of the costumes, the way they would talk, the what they would eat and drink. And I feel like as also as a challenge as an actor to have to portray someone from that time, like, how would they talk and move? What was their body posture? What was, like it'd be fascinating. It'd be such a challenge, right? To like authentically find that. And that's something I would truly, truly enjoy. Animal, honestly, if well, let's say like animals or creatures, like if I could be like one of those zombies or clickers on The Last of Us, that would be a dream as well. Like The Last of Us, in my opinion, is one of the coolest stories. I used to play the games, amazing series.
Mm.
Pedro Pascal is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That would be fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I have interview actors who sometimes they will be portraying well, they will be doing this creature work, either for a movie or sometimes most of the times they will do it for motion capture for the video game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they have told me that it's kind of the most fun part ever, to just make those kind of moves or to act like a creature, things like that. And then once you see like the final product to it, then yeah, it's just beautiful to it.
It's cool because, yeah, especially in front of the camera, you have to be so subtle and like real and everything, right? But I feel like almost like every actor secretly has this urge to just like, oh, go big, like really
Mm.
explode and like be like physical and all that. And you can with these characters. So it's so cool to like, I mean, it's of course it's weird because there's an entire like, there's a lot of people watching you like weird stuff. But it's if you think about it, it's the most like it's the biggest relief to be
Mm.
able to like fully, yeah. That'd be cool, man. I really want to be in a video game too. Like imagine like Call of Duty or like a cinematic game is what I'm
Mm.
getting at. If I could get something in a cinematic game where you follow the story like in The Last of Us and it looks beautiful and like the acting is there and that would be a dream, honestly.
Yeah, I would say something between The Last of Us, maybe the God of War,
God of War is
and
another one. Yeah.
yeah, and probably like the whole Horizon series, Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, like between those, for
Yeah.
sure.
The guy from the God of War, he became famous.
Yeah,
Yeah, he got like, dude, his voice and his like his being, he did well for himself. Like he's really gifted. Yeah.
yeah. I remember that I saw him first in a TV show way, 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 way in the past, on a TV show that it was kind of I mean, at least to me, I find it kind of funny, like the CGI and everything was just not on cue, but it was fun. And then to see him later on to portray Kratos in God of War, I was like, this is cool, and
Cool that you recognized them.
huh?
It's cool that you recognized them.
Yeah, I saw because I saw, kind of the Game Awards, and then when I saw him receiving an award, I was like, wait a second, I've seen this guy before. So I start to, check in the past, and I was like, oh, of course, he was in this
Oh,
TV show. Got it. So
cool.
yeah, and I think it's amazing also that you can create these incredible characters and this whole creative thing with just your voice to it, and some motion capture, that even though at the end what we see is definitely not you, but your moves, your voice, it's you. So I find that amazing when that whole connection gets also hooked into you, knowing that what you're watching is 100% not real, but like the whole way everything it's being told, and how they are presenting the characters and their reasons to do what you are doing in the video game. I find that amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big part of acting, like is the voice too, right? It's where there's the authenticity in the voice, not only like the facial expression. It's like it's kind of what they're saying is like, oh, if you watch this scene without the sound, you would still get what's going on. Or if you only heard the sound, you would still know what's going on, right? It's kind of like a similar thing with the video games. Where obviously like the technique is a little different because video games, depending on the game, God of War is obviously like a little bit more like emphasized, but it's just yeah, it's all an art form, man. It's like different mediums. And yeah, it's so cool, man.
Totally. And that is a good thing also that we are seeing now with technology that they're like putting like a lot of effort as back then, and now this yeah, now for the video games they will specifically, for the ones that they want to tell a story, they will be using most of the high tech stuff to create these incredible characters and to have like the behind the scenes, have interviewed a few actors who have been in big video games.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just so fun to watch them be like behind the scenes and to do like the fun stuff here and there. And when they say action, and for example, one actor told me that to be on that set is just awesome because everything is basically run by imagination. They'll be telling you, okay, so right now you are in a sunny day, and then for the next day, okay, so right now it's rainy, it's foggy. You know what I mean? I saw this interview that they did to I think his name is Roger Clark, who played Arthur in Red Dead Redemption 2. I think that's his name. And he was
Okay.
in this interview, I saw that he was telling that for the scenes that they will be walking through the snows, that they will yeah, through snow, they will be putting like something like heavy on their feet. So whenever they will be walking, they will have like this image that you're walking through the snow. So I was
Oh,
like, that's pretty cool.
that's so cool, man. Oh, that's really cool. Wow. Yeah, that must be so sick.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, another game that I recommend is definitely Red Dead Redemption 2. If you haven't played it, that's a must for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. I've played it. I've played it. It's really good. Yeah, it's the same guys from like GTA and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, some of them, but that's the thing here. I mean, when you're able to create that. I remember when I played that game. I mean, I played it way way after I played it in COVID, and
Yeah.
man, the story to it. I mean, the story was brutal to it. And when I talk with my friends and people who have played it, they would tell me like this, like they was really emotional to it, and you will see like people reacting to it and actually crying. And I was like, this is incredible. The fact that 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 what you're watching is not real, but the emotions are real. Those heavy ones that you are seeing from the character that you basically love, that you actually care about. So yeah, it's incredible. So
That's
we'll
why it's all about the story, man. It's the
totally,
story. And because if you think about it, you could even watch a manga or anime or whatever, or cartoon, you could cry over that. If they really write a
totally,
solid story, it's well written,
totally,
it can move us, right? It's funny, like we don't necessarily need to see people do it. Um, yeah, it's so fascinating.
totally. And tell me, acting often involves vulnerability and putting yourself out there. So how do you handle criticism and rejection in such a competitive industry?
Um, yeah, I think the rejection part, I got used to it. It's just something that I feel like personally, I just got used to. In the beginning, it really got to me, especially because, I came from a different life and I
Yeah.
came from a solid, safe background, and then it's kind of going into this like unknown territory, unknown future, and then really wanting something. I really wanted this. I really want this, and I didn't like, I got rejected a lot, and then it's like, I didn't book a lot in the first 2 years, and then it was like, um, kind of feeling it kind of made me always feel like, oh, am I still going on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? But all it is honestly like persistency, keep training, keep working on like different productions and like indie things. Theater is a huge one, right? Um, and then it just happens, right? Like it just happens so organically. But I think like facing a lot of rejection and understanding that it's not me and that it's just part of it, and then meeting the right people. You know, I'm lucky to have a mentor like Phil Granger. He's been in the industry for 45 years. 40 to 45 years. He's a working actor. He's done so many things and he's such a great guy to have in my corner. I think every actor should have someone in their corner that they can fully trust, talk to, confide, and whenever I feel down, I talk to him and he's just such a great person to like um to have as a coach almost, right? So like even with my auditions, like I send him my takes and he helps me pick the best one. And I think it really helps having someone like that is experienced, that knows what he's doing, and just letting you know and reassuring me that I'm doing the right thing.
Hmm.
I'm you know, so if I don't get picked, I know it's not me. And I think now by doing it now for 3 years is like I really just understand that it's not, it's just part of the game. Um, and then uh the other part of the question was direction or
No, criticism and rejection.
oh, criticism. So like in the sense of like going into the room and they're like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing?" Or you mean like redirection of like,
Well, for that, for example, criticism that you did a role and then a lot of people are trashing it somehow,
"Oh,
like that type of it, you know?
yeah. Okay, I think that's really hard to deal with. I think most artists are very sensitive people and in some parts insecure. That's why we feel so much, right? But dealing with criticism is really because I find most actors already have a big self-critic, like the voice in our heads that tell us criticize ourselves, right? But when other people critique our work, especially if it's my family or something, they're like, "Oh yeah, it was nice, but there was this one part that I didn't truly believe," and I was just like, "Ooh." But I started, you know what? I really try staying positive with these things and changing negative thoughts with positive thoughts and being more encouraging where I'm like, okay, so obviously this problem is there. Where was it? Why did it happen? And how can I make sure that it doesn't happen? Because it's all like, man, it's a constant, endless process. Like it will always be different. My process will always be different. And you cannot perfect the art of acting because it doesn't exist and
No.
it doesn't and so for me it's always like all about growth, learning, keep on learning and keep on achieving the next thing, right? So now I'm trying to see it as constructive, where I'm like trying to take it in and be like, okay, so let's work on that, shove my ego to the side and, and kind of be like, this is just work that I need to do, right? So yeah, I think that's how it's mostly our egos that honestly hurt us. But yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll take it. And let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing. So your experience. So based on what you know, of what you know, what do you think that would be important for me to, yeah, for me to know before jumping in?
Ooh, when you start acting, I think training, dude. Like there's a lot of new actors that I meet that are kind of like they're just trying to audition and maybe it works for you, like with that guy from Euphoria. But honestly, it's the way I see it is you might be the most talented person on this planet in acting, but without knowing how to direct this talent, how to shape this talent, you will never truly know what you're doing. So I think training is the most important thing. I think going into it, I was a little bit like more cocky, thinking that like, oh, training is not that important. If you're talented, you don't need training. But no, you need training. You need to understand the tools to direct the energy that you have, to direct the talent that you have. Because if not, it's just like free flowing, right?
Mm,
Training, 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 and constantly be able to train and willing to train. I think that's the first thing that, and the most important thing that I would tell you. And then try to book as many projects. Doesn't matter what it is, if it's for free or not for free, do it. Just learn and connect and yeah, I think practice by doing and then learning on in workshops or schools. It's the most crucial thing.
mm, okay. And like what motivates you? We all have those days that we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us. So how do
Yeah.
you stay positive?
Honestly, I'm a very self-driven individual. Like, even on the days where I don't, you know what it was, man? I watched this one thing where this guy was talking, and he was an athlete, and I believe he was an NBA player, and he was saying that, what made me great. He's like, everybody is great on their good days and on their best days. What makes me a professional is that I show up every day, even when I feel my worst.
Mm,
And that resonated with me so strongly, where I was like, that's what separates like the this in my opinion, like the successful people with the not successful people is like who goes that extra mile? Who wakes up like literally the day where you can't have it, but you still push through and you still do it. That is literally the difference between a professional and an unprofessional. And it's yeah, since then I was like, when I feel it, like the whatever keeps me from doing it, if it's laziness or if it's just like being like drained where I literally don't have the energy. I sit there, take a little pause, and I remind myself how important it is that I do this. And what a good technique is also think of the consequences. If I didn't do what I had to do today, if I didn't, for example, I'm in a play right now, right? So if I didn't learn my last scene right now today, so what are the consequences? That tomorrow I will know a lot less than today, and it will build up, and then my next rehearsal will suck. And it's like it's just like doing the work, and also it's almost like telling yourself that you love what you do all the time, even when you don't. Just you love it. You love the work. You love everything you're doing, and it's just like really training your thoughts.
Okay, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. And I'll tell you what, if I ever become an actor, and if at some point I win something, I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech.
Stop it. Stop it. Okay, okay. I take
All right. All
it.
right. Sounds like a plan. And my last question, so we can all enjoy and relax after a couple of difficult, amazing questions and an epic chat for sure. So here it is. What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Best title for this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's never too late. Because think about it, man. I started acting when I was 30, right? So that's really late. I think most people always think like, oh, it's too late to start something. No, it's not, man. Like I'm doing really well for myself given the circumstances. And I started 2 years ago when I was 30. It's just like I'm persistent though, and like super
Oh,
passionate about it, and I'm obsessing about it, but it's never too late, man, I think.
yeah.
And there's actually a lot of A-list actors that are amazing that started later. Like John Hamm, I think he started later.
I think also Morgan Freeman, right? He got like one of his big role when he was like what, like 40, 50, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, at the end, it's all about the mindset, and I do agree with you on that. I mean, that it's never too late to try something new, to discover something, and who knows, maybe you love it, and to a point that perhaps that could be like a new career, a new adventure to it. But I do think that one of the biggest problems that we have at this point is the mindset, the whole mindset to it, that because we already get used to this idea to get everything quickly, we live in a society that we just get used to everything. I mean, we forgot the word about process, that it's gonna take time for sure. And I think due to that and a lack of consistency, most people will ended up abandon their dreams because they thought that, they were gonna, I will say, make it in a super quick, but that's never gonna happen. I mean, like whenever they say an actor is like, oh, success overnight, and then you check on what that actor did, and then turns out that that guy has been on the business like what, 10, 15 years, you know what I mean? It's like just the way it is. So
It's dude, your expectations versus reality. I feel like the only times we give up is because we set ourselves unrealistic expectations.
totally.
Because the only thing that puts us down is our expectations. Like if I expected to be super successful in 3 years, I'd be depressed right now. Right? But the thing is, like, I know that I'm doing well, and like my and I stepped back from this because I was very competitive, and I wanted things really fast, and I'm very impatient, but I know that it takes 10 years to master anything. So you know what? I'm doing what I'm doing, what I love. I got time. It's and honestly, like the people that I talk to, because in your own life, it's kind of like when you go to the gym every day,
Hmm.
you stop seeing progress because you go to the gym every day. You see yourself every day in the mirror. And then it's people from outside being like, dude, like you're killing it. And I'm just like, what? And they're like, yeah, because of this. And I was just like, it's nice to have that. to have that reality check with other people that look into your life and they're like, dude, like congrats, you know. And then because we're never like so good to ourselves to be like, good job, Alessandro, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
And we want things so fast and so quick and always more and more and more, which is great, you know, like everybody should be ambitious, but expectations should be realistic.
Totally.
And I
Totally.
think if anybody faces like the depression or the, oh, am I doing the right thing? Like, have a reality check with your expectations, right? Like it's
Yeah.
yeah,
There you go. I
a lot
mean,
of psychology.
yeah, that's for sure. A lot of yeah, a lot of and a lot of what's the word here? To basically to have a to make sure that your feet are on the ground. You know what I mean? To make sure that you're actually doing it like step by step, don't and even though if somehow things are going amazingly, stay make sure that your feet are staying the ground, don't get too excited to it because the way that you get high is gonna be the way you get low somehow, you know what I mean? So
You,
so yeah.
you yeah, you gotta stay respectful, stay on the ground, stay humble. It's such a common thing that I see with actors here that like they book a big role, and then they burn out the first they burn themselves out after a season where they like nobody likes them. Like they showing up late, like they get cocky, they get so cocky and because you get all of this attention all of a sudden. So all of a sudden you got to learn to have this little Alessandro inside of me, like always have him with me and always understand who I am. And then these people start coming later to set, and just a week ago I was talking to Connor, who's a great indie director. He was saying, yeah, there was this actress, she booked this supporting lead and she was late every day, every second day or something, 3 minutes late, 4 minutes late. The production cut her out. They killed off her character.
Yeah.
It's just like you think it's yeah, expectations,
And I mean, at the end, what can I say, man? The fact that you are doing it, the fact that you're making it happen, that you decided to take a step to it on something that you were passionate about. I mean, that's badass. Now I understand why you're super badass, because it's not easy. For sure, it's not easy, but you are doing it, and that is like the whole great thing about it. That besides giving us great characters and things like that, at the same time you're showing us that it is possible, and I think that is the most badass part ever. So
thanks, dude, really appreciate it.
totally. I do want to thank those also who stay basically the whole episode. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but also in the description below you're gonna find all of Alessandro's social media, because we discover why he's super badass. Let's make him viral. # Team Alessandro. And again, man, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there, keep rocking, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.